Welcome to the CereCore podcast, where we focus on the intersection of healthcare and IT. From practical conversations to strategic thought leadership, let's unpack the decisions, challenges, and journey of those whose purpose is to deliver technology that improves healthcare in their communities.
Ann Hargrave-Thomas is the CEO of OakLeaf Surgical Hospital in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and Senior Vice President of Operations at Surgery Partners, and has been serving in healthcare and healthcare leadership for more than 25 years. Welcome to the CereCore podcast, Ann.
Thank you so much, Phil, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we always love to get these started, Ann, by just a little bit of background. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about OakLeaf and Surgery Partners, your role and how you became to work in healthcare.
Oh, absolutely. OakLeaf is a 30-bed, physician-owned surgical hospital. We have 7 ORs, 4 procedure rooms, and we're in Altoona, Wisconsin, which is, for those that won't know where Altoona is, we're about an hour outside of Minnesota, so St. Paul, so not too far to the big city. Surgery Partners is our corporate partner, and they certainly have a very strong presence in healthcare with hospitals, ASCs across the country. And as you indicated, my roles include being the CEO of OakLeaf Surgical Hospital as well as VP of Operations for Surgery Partners. So as far as my healthcare background, I've always wanted to be a nurse. I'm fortunate that I was one of those people that I always really knew what I wanted to do. And I began my career as a nurse in Detroit, and then for 20 plus years, and then moved into administration and worked at the 3 large medical centers in Detroit. The ability to build a new hospital for OakLeaf here in Altoona was really what brought me to Wisconsin. And I have always loved patient care, and working at OakLeaf has really given me the opportunity to combine my 2 passions, which is patient care and administration. So it's just been a wonderful experience for me, a great journey.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, certainly. We talked to a number of people in the industry, and one of those common themes across everyone that we talk to is just that passion for healthcare. And it's fantastic when you see someone who's come out of the bedside care space and then crossed over into administration, and how that really makes a difference in how that operation runs on a daily basis. So that's glad to hear. So, you recently completed a go-live on MEDITECH Expanse, and our organizations, CereCore, OakLeaf, and Surgery Partners, started working together, early on in that process. As CEO, you were really involved in that Expanse project from the very beginning, during physician advisory committee meetings and rounding. What's your leadership philosophy and advice when it comes to encouraging that sort of collaboration and teamwork around a technical implementation such as an EHR implementation?
Well, I'm going to start, I think, with the first part, philosophy, a little bit. With projects like this one, they're large. I would say, for me, there were numerous leadership styles I used throughout the project. I don't think that you could say there is one style for a successful project like this. As examples, I use the democratic leadership style, which involved finding the right people to start, and we started early to encourage participation in that collaboration. And then I would also say we moved into transformational, because certainly doing a project like this, I moved a lot of people and challenged them to come out of their comfort zones. So for some, it was a bit of a struggle, but we had that. And finally, I think solution-based. We certainly were not without our challenges during this implementation or project. So problem solving was key, and we definitely needed everybody on board with it. I think the advice I would provide is to plant those seeds early, get ahead with communication, timelines for the end user and the physicians, your staff, whoever your end users are going to be. We started 20 months before our go live to start talking about this project with our staff, our physicians, any of our end users. We wanted them to know what it was, how it would improve patient care, what the timeline transition would look like, who we needed to be involved. Communication, as always with anything like this, is key. So I would also encourage you to include the naysayers on your teams as well, because in the end, they can be really valuable as they move through the project. And ultimately, we found that we were able to convert them to become staunch supporters. And really, it was due to their involvement.
No, that's a great response, Ann. And certainly I think so much of projects and leadership does come down to that communication. And we see it oftentimes where that senior leader isn't involved in that communication process until something goes wrong. And so really appreciate your leadership and discernment on tackling that early and personally to ensure that everyone, whether it be the people that were on board or the naysayers, heard from you. It's kind of setting that tone and direction and providing them that information so that they can begin processing and getting their heads around it. So that's certainly lesson that I know a lot of CIOs that particularly listen to this podcast would love for their senior executives to pay attention to. So, and an EHR.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry, I've always been an engaged leader, and I think when they hear it from the top, it carries more weight. And when you get the communication out early, it allows everyone time to ask questions, get rid of the nerves, work through the process. So by the time we actually started to recruit, there was excitement generated. So communication is key, but I think coming from leadership is very important because it tells those that are your end users, whether it's physicians or staff, that you support it, you're there, and you're going to help them get through it.
Yep. Well, and I assume your approach has kind of been crafted over the years from a lessons learned perspective. Certainly, an EHR implementation is quite a journey. And I'm sure you drew on experiences from the past from other, large implementations, whether they be technology or not. What stands out to you around the project that you just went through with Expanse versus some others, and what were those lessons that you applied, and then how did things go? What's your overall assessment?
The project went so well. I am so proud of my team here, my MEDITECH team, our staff, our physicians. And certainly we could not have done it if we did not have the right partners. I cannot honestly thank CereCore enough, Bob and his team, and certainly Surgery Partners. We really had all the right people at all the right times and to help us work on this. And the great thing was I could pick up the phone and call someone at CereCore and get an answer. I could pick up the phone and call Surgery Partners and get an answer. I mean, from the top down between Surgery Partners and CereCore, I just can't thank them enough and say enough great things about just the relationship that we developed and how invaluable it was to do this. So I think that's a big lesson for me. It really takes a village. This is nothing that can be built in a vacuum. Any EMR, whether it's Expanse or a different product, there's just so much work, behind the scenes work that goes into it that you just can't do it in a vacuum. You need resources, you need people, you need help to get it done.
No, they are large implementations for sure. And I think, everyone brings a different perspective to the table. And different experiences, and certainly by building that team structure that includes all of those, you're certainly better off. And we talked a little bit about this, but there's a myriad of decisions that have to be made from various stakeholders. You've mentioned a bunch of them, clinicians through administration, and change management is absolutely critical as part of that. And you touched on a little bit around communication and getting that started. So as CEO, what was top of mind for you, during the transition from Expanse? And particularly when it comes to those difference makers that made things smooth as possible. For a project like this, when it comes to that change management and dealing with the variety of stakeholders you had to deal with?
Yeah, I think it was getting organized, and at the top, while tedious for most, and I have to admit I was someone who thought, oh, do we really have to go through this exercise? But in the end, it provided us everything we needed to go forward. And that was developing the structure, putting it down on paper, who the committees, the appropriate committees, all the needed stakeholders. It wasn't timelines, but it was just between Expanse, between CereCore, between surgery partners, my own team, my leadership, some staff. It's just getting all those pieces down on paper, and determine who we were going to use to do this change. You really have to do that exercise. And we also took the time to figure out how many hours at the very beginning each person we would be pulling away, and including my own time, those of leadership, those of CereCore, those of surgery partners, and what the time commitments would look like moving forward. And by doing all those exercises, while they seem, how is this going to help us? It really made a difference in the entire project going forward. And again, I just cannot stress enough how important communication is. We started early, we kept it up throughout the project for everyone, and that included physicians and every end user. It included all of our clinics, the office managers, just everyone. And we really relied on CereCore and surgery partners to help us with some of that communication and some of that upfront planning to pave the way for an incredible go live that we did have. Again, the experience that they both brought to the table was just truly invaluable on our project.
Yeah, and I think you dropped a little nugget in there, and that was you started out the communication, but then you kept it up throughout the entirety of the project. And I think so many times we see all the best intentions and good starts, but as you get into the project, people do tend to that discipline tends to wane. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you made mention of the fact that you kept up that discipline, and that certainly does make a big difference. So, and I know a lot of our listeners are CIOs or healthcare IT leaders, and they are keenly interested in what the senior executive of the hospital or health system has top of mind. And so perhaps you can share just a little bit about and you can maybe start with in the context of the EHR, but what is a CEO of a hospital or a health system really concerned about that the IT leadership should be aware of?
I think for all of us in this day and age, it's protecting our PHI. I mean, I can't think of healthcare without thinking, how do we protect it? With all the hacking, the phishing, all the security threats to everything we do, on a daily basis. I mean, there are just days you feel like the cyber criminals get better and better every day. And for us, we're a smaller hospital, so trying to stay ahead of that can be daunting from a financial side, as well as just having an EMR that will help protect us. So that probably is always top of mind, and for me anyway.
No, it's that is something that you can't turn on the news or open up a publication almost on a daily basis now without hearing about the latest and greatest issues. So it is something that everyone is paying attention to, and having the support of senior leadership from an IT perspective in and around that is always very, very critical. So.
And Phil, what I would like to add is that, moving to Expanse actually provided us with robust and enhanced security features, which we did not have before, from sign-on to authentication to all the things that we're all doing on a daily basis to try to keep our healthcare data safe. So it really gave us some good security features. Our previous one was very clunky. It didn't have a lot of capabilities. We were kind of at end of life with it. So moving to Expanse really definitely gave us a more robust system.
Well, and Ann, you make a great point. So many times people look at a EHR modernization program as something that you do for added capability, added functionality, and certainly all of that does exist. But in many instances, to your point, there's also that critical component, which is the newer platforms are just more secure.
Yes.
And so that is something that I do think gets overlooked. And so, greatly appreciate you bringing that up here. Technology is certainly growing and changing, more rapidly, now than, ever before. What's your perspective on technology and how it can help fuel and support, the growth that, hospitals and health systems, surgery partners in particular, are seeing?
I'm just very excited about Surgery Partners and OakLeaf. I think we both collectively have had a lot of growth, which is always exciting. So we need to improve our technology, and it's always a subject of discussion for us. I think it's an incredible tool, and I personally view technology as one of my must-haves for dealing with the daily operations of the hospital. When appropriately developed, the technology, the amount of data we can get is just vast, allowing me and my teams to make better decisions for quality, growth, everything related to operations. Technology, I truly believe, can help us be better at what we do on a daily basis. As long as we get accurate information, it'll be a key to successful outcomes for us.
It makes great sense. And it actually, you've invested, right, in that modern platform that's going to give you that baseline and capability to do that. What are some of the other things above and beyond that potentially you're looking at, or that you envision your new EHR MEDITECH Expanse helping improve from an operational standpoint going forward?
I anticipate we're only 30 days in from our go live, so I need to let everybody know that. So we're still kind of in the infancy. We're doing well, but 30 days in, I truly anticipate as we continue to move through to 60, 90 days and further out, our users will become definitely more proficient. And this is ultimately going to lead us to improved integration, streamlined documentation, and information management. And the nice thing is my MEDITECH team here on the ground can continue this momentum that we built, because they're able to tweak and continue to optimize the Expanse platform for our staff and physicians. And I must say, my physicians, staff, and the end users are not shy about letting us know what they need. But the great news is my team has the ability to go in and truly optimize. Right now, we're still working on ensuring that everyone is exceptionally proficient in it, but it's a robust system, and it's going to do, I think, a lot of wonderful things for us as far as our information management and patient management.
Oh, and that's you stepped perfectly into kind of my next comment, and actually answered my next question.
Oh.
And, which is perfect. I love it, because we see so often organizations get go live burnout. Where they go live and they take that deep breath and they go, okay, we made it. Well, you made something, but I don't know that it is it. There is, and so I love hearing that you've kind of built this culture of learning and growth and continual improvement and optimization, into OakLeaf there, because that is so critical going forward to really take advantage in the long run of an investment in a modern platform like MEDITECH Expanse. And so, the challenge is for a lot of organizations is keeping that up. And so, I think, as a leader, how are you going to encourage the teams to continue down that path? And what are some of those nuggets of wisdom that you could give to others that might be struggling with that?
Again, I think it really comes down to communication and maintaining that communication. As we did our go live, if you can imagine, during a go live, there's a lot going on. We had a command center with 30 people in it, and it included CereCore, surgery partners, my own MEDITECH team, physicians. I mean, we had a command center with every computer you could find was there. But the beauty of it was that we had huddles in the morning and we had huddles in the evening. And we also cultivated super users. So those were the individuals that were exceptionally proficient on the Expanse program, and they have helped us continue that momentum of keeping the rest of our end users, physicians, and staff engaged and wanting to use the system, because they're able to show them this is what it can do. But it also, at the end of our go live, we had lists of things we can already optimize, which is exciting. So staff brought them in and we started to put them on a list. And it just gets people excited, and we communicate that out, and that just helps. It's just all part of the process, but everyone is still excited. No one has thrown up their hands, and everyone wants, how soon can we get this piece optimized? Well, we've got a long list, so we're slowly working through it, but it's going well.
Oh, that's great. It's great to have the list, and for those of us who live off them, it's great to celebrate when you get to cross one of those things off the list too, and be able to see the return and what that actually means when you're able to say, yep, we got that, that piece of optimization done, and here's what that is now doing for our physicians or clinicians or our inpatients, and celebrating that again through the communication channels that you've set up so that everyone can celebrate along with you. So that's certainly great. Well, and as we wrap up, I always like to ask one final question, and given that you are the CEO of OakLeaf, is there anything that we haven't covered yet today that you would want to give our listening audience, again, most of which are on the IT side of things, any sort of insights or perspectives just about, what the office of the CEO is thinking about, and then what those IT leaders should be thinking about from a top of mind standpoint to help support you?
I think from a CEO perspective, once you've decided on an EMR, be involved. Stay involved. It's key. Your people want to see you involved. And I know for large institutions and organizations, having worked for them, that's a very difficult ask. But whatever the leadership structure is, whatever the top leader is, be involved, be visible. I think that was key. They truly understood that I was just as engaged, which kept everyone else engaged. They want to see that flow down. And I think for the CIOs, on a project like this, it takes a village. It really does. And we were never afraid, my IT people, my MEDITECH people, to ask questions, because there are just so many incredible resources. CereCore was, as I said, invaluable, surgery partners, everyone. We collaborated, we worked together. We got ahead of the problems, we talked about them, we met, and getting those teams together, those core teams, it's just critical to the success of a project, because I don't know what I don't know. And, Surgery Partners and CereCore brought so much information to the table because this is what they do. And it really helps. But again, it just goes back to communication, and bringing in all the right resources.
Yeah, completely agree. Well, Ann, again, it's been a pleasure. I know our team has just thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and then working with your team and your staff as well. I know, and I'll speak for Bob and his crew, just thank you for your engagement, involvement, support. We know that I know you're only 30 days out, but we certainly do know that you're going to be very, very successful with your new Expanse platform. And certainly look forward to continue supporting you in any way, shape, or form that we can. So again, thank you for that, and thank you for your time today on the podcast.
You are very welcome, and thank you.
Thanks for listening to the CereCore podcast. If you like this conversation, check out our other episodes. Visit us at CereCore.net to learn more about our IT services, and connect with us on LinkedIn. At CereCore, we are healthcare operators at heart and know the difference that the right IT partner can make in delivering quality patient care 24/7. Let's help make IT better. Here's to the journey.